Hey guys, welcome back to Trekyards. As always, I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Cockings, I'm guest.
And I'm what's left of Vic Mignogna.
Anyway, it's amazing to have you back joining us again today. We're going to be talking to you, of course, about Star Trek Continues and getting some thoughts from you, and hopefully have you back on the show eventually in the future to talk more.
I hope so, because there's certainly plenty to talk about, including that slave Leia picture behind you.
That's just ignore that.
Nobody's going to hear a word I said because slave Leia.
I should dramatically zoom, shouldn't I, in post?
You should.
Just
There it is.
ignoring everybody.
All right, let's talk Star Trek. Let's
So,
talk about
in our introduction video, you talked about sort of the genesis of Star Trek Continues, but I do want to know, what was the actual moment that you realised it wasn't just an idea of, this would be cool, that you said, I'm going to put my time, my money, my effort, my real, this is serious. What was that moment, and how did that feel in that moment?
Well, the first moment came when I was directing an episode for Starship Farragut. The Farragut guys had contacted me and said, hey, we've heard about you. We hear you're a good director. Would you like to come and direct an episode for us? And I did. And while I was there, they told me they couldn't pay me. But what I asked for in exchange was to let me shoot something on their bridge. So I did a little cameo as Captain Kirk in the episode that I directed for them. And then I was going to try to do something on their they had a couple of very limited sets. And right when I finished directing their episode, they informed me that the building that they had their bridge in, that was being loaned to them by the guy that owned it, they were going to lose the building. The guy had rented the building. They weren't paying any rent on the building. The guy was just letting them have their stuff there. And the guy got a chance to rent the building, and so they had to vacate. And that was when I said, hey, you know what? What if I were to put the money in to rent a bigger building, and then you guys move the bridge over to that building, and then we'll build everything else, and I'll pay for it.
You went ambitious straight from the start then, jeez.
What I thought was, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to give it my best, so that I can't turn around and go, if I'd have just spent a few $1,000s more, this could have been so much better. I thought, you know what? I've worked hard my whole life. Star Trek is my greatest childhood passion. It deserves whatever I can throw at it, whatever I can contribute to it. So they agreed. We rented a building that was literally 6-7 times the size of the one they were in. Mm-hmm. And they moved their local guys down in Kingsland, Georgia, moved the bridge over. And then Matt Busey drew up floor plans for the whole rest of the soundstage based on the floor plans that are online that you can find. And I started sending money down, and they started buying lumber and all the materials. And then I went down there 4 or 5 times, and Matt Busey and I laid out the floor plan with chalk on the floor, on the concrete slab, and we all started building. And when it was finished, we shot Pilgrim of Eternity, and I didn't know where it would go from there. I paid to make that episode, and I thought, well, if I don't get to do it again, I want to make one complete episode of Star Trek as best as I can. I want to make it as much like the original series as I can. And so I did, and then we put it online, and people really loved it, and they helped us make the rest of the series. So that's how we got to where we are now.
That's incredible. So, well, that must have been exciting, laying down the chalk and having that vision come to life. I mean,
it was. And I will tell you, I need to tell you, Matt Busey, our DP, is a freaking genius. I mean, like textbook genius. He has a degree in architecture in addition to being a great DP. So he literally took the original floor plans And he found some commonalities from which you can extrapolate the measurements of everything. For instance, if you know that this right here is a 4-foot by 8-foot section, then you can extrapolate all the rest of the measurements from that and figure exactly how big is the transporter room, how wide is the transporter platform in diameter, how big is Kirk's quarters, how wide is the corridor, all of these things. And Matt Busey did that. He applied numbers to every measurement of the soundstage from which we built everything. And that's why it looks so great and is spot on to the original, because of the work of Matt Busey.
So double pride then, literally from the ground up.
I have
Reverse
to tell you,
engineering.
I hope you don't mind me. I have to tell you this funny story.
Go ahead.
Matt Busey had figured out that the transporter platform was 12 feet in diameter. I mean, it's not a matter of opinion.
Mm.
You extrapolate the numbers are what they are. It's 12 transporter platform, 12 feet in diameter. So we went down there one day while the building was going on. Matt and I went down there to work on something, and they had already built the transporter platform. It was just plywood, but the circular platform was there. They hadn't cut the holes out for the pads yet, and they built it 10 feet in diameter. And Matt was like, it's supposed to be 12 feet. And literally they were like, it's close enough. I'm like, no. We did not go to this trouble to be close enough.
Yeah.
Plus, when you shoot it, it won't look right.
Yeah.
The dimensions will be wrong. So we literally built a new 12-foot platform on top of the 10-foot platform that was already there.
And boy, it was double as stable.
Exactly. So even Lou Ferrigno is not going to fall to that platform.
Well, the sets are amazing, but also the cast is just spot on spectacular. So how did you go about picking the cast, and how did you go about getting each individual to fit the perfect role? And
I appreciate you asking that, because I believe with my whole heart that it's always about story. Anybody can go to Lowe's and buy lumber and paint and nails and build a set. But it's a whole different thing to write a compelling story and then to have actors of the quality to execute the compelling story. This is where a lot of fan productions fall short. No offense, we're not naming names. It's just a general observation that I know everybody, if they were honest, would agree with.
Well, can I jump in there? There's a huge difference, as we both come from film backgrounds, between a fan making a film and a filmmaker making a fan film. Huge difference. And that is the difference.
Absolutely. Because one of the biggest criticisms of fan films is the acting's they're almost impossible to watch. They hurt to watch. And the stories are kind of lame, because a lot of people think that making a fan film is basically putting on a uniform and getting in front of a set and firing phasers or flipping open communicators or beaming down. That's not what the original series was known for. The reason we're still talking about it 50 years later is because of the storytelling and because of the actors who told the stories. So one of my very, very biggest priorities when I decided I was going to do this was, I'm going to get friends of mine who are good actors. You can't tell a good story without good actors. In fact, I would dare say you could take a brilliant story and ruin it with bad actors. So it wasn't enough that we were going to really get good scripts and good stories. You have to have good actors to tell those stories. Well, I've been acting since I was 10, 12 years old. And because I'm a voice actor and a stage actor, I know a lot of actors, especially some great voice actors. But let me let you guys know, because a person is a good voice actor doesn't mean, well, they're just a voice actor. No. Every voice actor I know started in theater and on film, they are actors first, and they're voice actors second. People like Chuck Huber and Todd Haberkorn and Michelle Specht, they have loads of experience in acting. Voice acting was just something that came along, and they had a chance to do it, and so they did it. But I cast Todd because he's a great actor.
Mm-hmm.
And I cast Chuck Huber because he's a great actor. And I cast the other roles because I felt like the actors could do a really good job in these roles. Everybody I cast are friends of mine, people who I know and love. I never wanted to make Star Trek with hired guns. I wanted to make it with friends,
Mm-hmm.
people that I loved and people who I knew. And that's what we've done. And if you were to be a fly on the wall at one of our shoots, you would sense and see and witness such a sense of family, such a sense of camaraderie, and so much fun and lightheartedness, and yet accomplishing the goal at the same time. I couldn't be more proud of what we've done. I've been on enough film shoots to know that what we created and accomplished with Star Trek Continues is extremely rare.
Yeah, which I certainly alluded to previously. Now, you've answered one of the questions already, so I'm going to swap that around a little bit. Having been I've been on 2 TNG sets, both Vegas and an English version, full reproductions, been a couple of TOS sets around. You have a certain, this is surreal, but you kind of get used to it after a certain point, because it is just a space, and you know it in your head, so it is a different experience. Obviously, you were spending, in chunks, months and months on these sets. How many times, and were there any moments that you were on these sets in costume doing your thing and you actively forgot? And then were there moments you then pulled your head out and was like, oh yeah. Like to the really surreal sort of, oh yeah, this is that's a greebly thing that don't know what it does, but boy, that's the real thing. That looks that good.
You know, because I'm exec producing the series, I'm always wearing that hat. So even when we're on set, I'm looking around the set and saying, hey, somebody fix that viewer over there. Somebody go get some paint and touch up that railing right there. I mean, literally, right up to the moment that we shoot. But I will tell you this. Even though I know their sets, they are extraordinary. And as hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours as I have spent on those sets, building them, painting them, sanding them, laying the carpet, building the plantons on the wall, a million things that I've done on those sets. And I've gone down there 20 or 30 times when nobody else was there. Like I went down there to build stuff, not when we were shooting, but to go and prepare for shooting. Go down there and build the engineering sections, set. Go down and build the courtroom set for episode 7. Go down and build the planet set or the council chamber for episode 9. I've gone down there dozens and dozens of times in shorts and a t-shirt to build and paint and sand and saw and nail. And I will tell you, it never gets old. There has not been one time, even now, years later, when I walk down that corridor, my heart quickens a little bit. The lights don't have to be turned on. I don't have to be in uniform. There's cardboard on the floor covering the colored stripes on the corridor floor, or there's a sheet over the captain's chair to keep it covered, a sheet over the helm console. And even now, I cannot walk down the corridor or walk into a room without feeling like a 13-year-old kid again. It's extremely special.
And so the obvious question that I know Stuart has in his brain somewhere, how many times you slept in Captain Kirk's bed? Just had a nap.
There. I've never done it. I've never slept. You know what? I've never slept on the sets. Now,
That he'll admit.
Todd Haberkorn has slept enough on the sets for all of us. Haberkorn works himself so ragged that he literally falls asleep at his station on the bridge. And when we're shooting close-ups of someone else, and then it's time to shoot Habercorn, we're like, "Where's Spock? Go find Spock. He'll be asleep in sickbay, or he'll be asleep in the captain's quarters. He'll be any number of places, sound asleep. He's he can sleep anywhere." I'll bet we've got a dozen pictures that people have taken during our shoots with Habercorn like that in full Spock makeup.
Well, you're going to have to go and spend a night there at least. I think that'd be kind of interesting.
I may do.
You've earned it.
Yeah. Now, as far as props and costumes go, were any of them your own personal props, or do you have any costumes that you contributed, or what?
Yeah, what do you have personally?
Yeah, what was that?
One could say that it's all mine. I mean, one could say that I own it all. Everything that we have, we had made for the series. But when I say we had it made for the series, what I mean is I had somebody make it for the series. Mm-hmm. So like when I decided that we wanted to use our own, we wanted to kind of have our own phasers, I contacted Scott Nakata and I said, "Scott, I kind of like this Mark II thing you've got going, but I want to make it a little more TOS. So let's put the original front nozzle from TOS on it, and let's make this and this adjustment." And so Scott did that, and that became our phaser. And we made a mold of it, and then we resin cast it. So we have like we have a cardboard box of like 10 or 12 stunt phasers that get thrown around and dropped and stuff. And then when there's a close-up, like when Drake in episode 10 was about to shoot himself and we cut to a close-up, that's one of our heroes. The uniforms originally were provided by Anovos, but then, when you shoot with them enough, they start to wear out. And so Ginger Holly, our wardrobe supervisor, I think by now has pretty much remade all of the main hero costumes. And then the original hero costumes become background extra costumes. Yeah. She'll make a new Spock uniform. She'll make a new Scotty uniform. She'll make me a new uniform. And then our uniforms will become background extra stuff. When we shot the auditorium scene for episode 11, that was all our people multiplied 3 or 4, 5, 6 times. But it was our 30 or 40 people wearing every freaking costume we could find anywhere. But yeah, I've paid for a lot of the props and things to be made. But I guess, technically I own all of it.
But I guess the real question is, how many are in your office? How many are in your wardrobe? How many do you have right there?
You know what? All of the stuff that we used to shoot our series was done, is still in storage down in Kingsland. We have a storage facility where all of our props are kept. We didn't want to take them anywhere because what if you need to shoot again? So like when we finish episode 5, for instance, I'm just picking a number. We finish episode 5, we don't want anybody taking their uniforms home. We don't want, you can have a phaser, because guess what? We need to shoot episode 6. And you get yourself in all kinds of trouble when you come back down and there aren't enough boots and there aren't enough phasers and Sulu's uniform is missing and blah, blah, any number of problems. So nobody takes anything from the studio. What I have at home on display in my studio is, I will tell you, I have the wand, phaser, and communicator. Yes, beautiful. Yeah. And I have a couple of Enterprise ship models that fans have made, like little clay models of the Enterprise or whatever.
Cool. So what I'm hearing is, as we all think you're the biggest fanboy, which you are, But the professional is still there. They're saying, nope, I'm not going to take it home. This is the work play. It's not the play.
You know
That's
what?
incredible.
You're exactly right. I'll be honest with you. That is really the truth. I've been on a lot of other fan production sets, and I think it's really cool when you give stuff away to people. That's really great. But we have a production to make.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as we knew we were going to be shooting another episode, you make sure and check out stuff and bring it back, because we're going to need it in the future. So as much as I would, as much as I love giving things to fans, and you could have that, you don't want to get yourself in trouble coming together to shoot something and you don't have what you need.
If you give away the Icenia chip that helps restart the windows of the ship, you're kind of screwed next time you get a virus. I mean, you need it. You need it.
Right.
And I got to say, with this being Trekyards, I'm sure in the future we will do a full episode with you talking about the redesign of the phaser and anything like that. I think that'd be really fun for our fans, because
talk with you guys about that.
Yeah, because we focus on the ships and tech. So I mean, that's what we do here.
I love that kind of stuff. And you know what? I love it so much. I even talked with Scott Nakata about, at some point in our series, introducing a new communicator.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to the one that, the upgrade that he did for that too. But we just never got around to doing it.
Yeah, it's fair enough. So we're going to end this, I guess, aptly. You ended the 5-year mission.
Brilliantly, by the way.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Talk about that another day.
An awful lot of love, you guys. A lot of work and a lot of love, but I'm so very proud of everybody that worked on our series. They did such an amazing job.
It was just so brilliantly done, and it's such a great tie-in with the movie, the Star Trek: The Motion Picture. And then at the end, to have a little homage to even making the little Discovery model and the Kelvin model. I mean, it was just brilliant little touches like that just really brought everything together for me, and it was just a good send-off to the and the introduction of the new uniforms. I thought was fantastic. So I was so happy to see that episode. The one thing that made me sad though was when they said the Romulans had no interest in outdated technology about the Enterprise, and I kind of went, oh. I knew the refit was coming, but I just
you and Chekhov, right?
Yeah, it made me feel a little bit sad at that point, but other than that, everything was fantastic.
Yeah, it was, there was an air of sadness the whole time that we were shooting, because we knew we were getting close to the end. We knew that the end was near, and we purposefully scheduled the shooting schedule. We purposefully coordinated the shooting schedule so that the very last thing we shot on the last day of our last shoot on set was Admiral Kirk walking around the empty, dark bridge of the Enterprise. And everybody was there. I mean, everybody from wardrobe, everybody from the other side of the building. Wardrobe, makeup, craft services, everybody came over, and we're all standing around the bridge as we shot that. It was every bit as emotional when we shot it as it is on screen.
Yeah, no, I'll give sort of my version of that. I watched the final 2 as a movie because I wanted to wait, because it's a 2-parter.
Wow. Really?
Back to back. And I watched
couldn't
it.
wait.
Yeah, and I watched it in preparation to speak to you. So it was like a couple of days ago in one chunk with my family who hadn't watched it yet, and we just sat down and watched as a movie, lights off, and it's a very well-paced movie. I'm just going to say that. Don't know if it was intended to be that way. Damn good movie. And I will absolutely say that one piece is the best fan film produced ever. As a movie. 1 and 2.
I agree with you.
As do I.
At the risk of being, at
Well,
the
I said it
risk of
first,
being
so
subjective and a bit partial, I agree, and especially because of what it takes to accomplish it. It takes a village. In fact, it takes a large village. One guy can do a bunch of CGI. And one guy can sit in front of a camera, and one guy can put up a green screen. or or run the camera, or one guy can hold a microphone. But in order to make everything at this level, with all of these sets and lights and characters and extras and props and makeup and wardrobe and on, music, original music, everything, it takes a large number of people. And knowing that no one is being paid, knowing that everybody comes into this knowing that they're not going to make any bank off of this, to me makes it all the more extremely special. That people did it purely, people agreed to be a part of it purely because they knew it was going to be something special. And they wanted to be a part of something special. And I am so grateful for the people, that everybody in our series that were a part of it. And we had little to no attrition whatsoever. I mean, I consider that a minute. I mean, just contemplate that. Every fan production I've been a part of that ever goes more than one or two, one episode, every time you go, it's all new people. Because once somebody does it for free, they did it. I did it. I don't need to do it again. You have to take time away from your family. You have to take time away from work. There are all kinds of obligations, right? Consider that of the probably 40 or 50 people involved in Star Trek Continues, I can count on this one hand the number of people that started with our production and then we lost somewhere along the way. With that exception of that handful of people, and they were all for different reasons, but with that small exception, we have had 99% of the same group of people come together every time to make every episode. It's extraordinary.
So how did it feel to actually complete Kirk's 5-year mission, to actually wrap it up and put a nice little bow on it, and just, you're offering to the fans of what needed to be done? Because really, we only got 3 years of the 5-year mission, and there is that gap in between. We did get the movies, but there was something missing. Now that you've completed that, how does it feel?
It is extremely bittersweet. As you can imagine, there is a great deal of pride and satisfaction of having completed it. At the risk of sounding arrogant, and that is not my intention at all, I would love to think that 10 years from now, 20 years from now, Star Trek Continues will virtually be canon. That 20 years from now, people will watch the original series, and then they'll watch Star Trek Continues, and then they'll go into the motion pictures. The possibility that we may have created something as an offering of love and tribute to Star Trek that could one day be included in the lore of Star Trek would be the most incredible privilege. So I'm very proud in what we did and how we did it. We did it with great integrity as well. I cannot stress that enough. Every penny we ever raised went right back on the screen. And there's no denying that it's all there to see.
Oh, you had quality styrofoam rocks. You could see the quality styrofoam.
And in many cases even over-delivered. Like we actually did more with what we got than we said we were going to do. We're always trying to figure out ways to stretch it and to get more out of it. I mean, if somebody said, I can build you this planet for $300, and I said, how about 100? You know what I mean? Like, even if you have the money, even if we had raised the money already, we were always looking for ways to make the fans' donations go further. And so I'm very proud of the integrity with which we have conducted this series as well. So I'm very proud of having completed it, having finished the 5-year mission, returned the Enterprise to Earth, see Kirk become an admiral, and give a little understanding as to why he would give up his ship. Why would he take a desk? Why would Spock go back to Vulcan? Why would McCoy leave the service? I'm very proud of that portion of it. However, this series has been my life for 5 years. I have eaten, slept, and breathed this production. It has taken 90% of my time, 1,000 decisions a day about 1,000 different elements of the production. So I don't think it's really sunk in yet that we're done. I don't think I've really come to terms with the fact that we're not probably, unless something changes, we're not going to be ever shooting anymore. Now, I'd love to think that maybe a couple years down the road, maybe, you never know. The climate, the fan film climate could change in a year or 2 years.
Well, the simple motto, there are always possibilities.
Exactly. I've said that 100 times. And if that happens, who knows? Maybe we'll make a Wrath of Khan era feature film where we'll all come back together and do something.
Well, Vic, to your advantage, the longer you wait, the older you'll get, the more admiral you'll be.
That's right.
It actually works.
I'd love to see you wearing the magnificent maroon. I don't call it the monster maroon.
Believe me, if we were going to do a feature film, it would be the monster maroon era. I love that uniform. So maybe that's a possibility down the road, but for now, it's very sobering, and I don't think it's really sunk in yet. We still have features that we're going to be releasing. It's a mixed bag of how I feel now that it's over.
Yeah.
Proud of the completion, and yet still I think maybe in a bit of denial that we're actually done with it.
And I think on that note, with the tease of something more to come, but I think we'll call this episode a wrap. It's bittersweet to end this episode as well. I had to.
It's been fun for me, so yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So
talk again. Let's definitely talk again.
Absolutely, we would love to have you on again. So thank you, Vic, for joining us and taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and talk to us and to talk to the fans, and
Stuart,
we really appreciate it.
My sincere pleasure. I wish you guys the very best, and I'll hope to see you in person sometime soon.
Awesome. All right, guys. So until next time, I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Colonel Coggins.
And I'm Mignano.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
The human adventure is just beginning.
He had to.
I had to.